At one point, back in the day, Minnesota Fighting Vikings kicker Diamond Dan Bailey was the most accurate kicker in NFL history, and then he wasn't. Had that falling out in Dallas. The Vikings scooped him up after rookie fifth-round pick Daniel Carlson absolutely shat the bed after 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And then Bailey went on that season to be the least accurate kicker in the NFL 2018, making only 75% of his boots because hashtag Vikings. That's what happens to us and kickers, right? But then Dan Bailey flipped things around in 2019 as was rewarded with a 3-year extension this offseason, rightfully so. So how did Dan Bailey get his groove back? Let's talk about it today. So number one, this can't be stated enough, is health, right? So his health problems went back to Dallas in 2017. Some leg issues as well as a groin injury. And I think there was some carryover into 2018 when the Cowboys decided to replace him with Brett Maher. Now, Brett Maher eventually went to the Jets this offseason, but Dan Bailey out of a job, 30 years old. It was sort of surprising, but having some of those lingering after effects of injury, it does weigh on you. And we've talked about kicking is such a year-to-year mental, like, I don't want to be inside of a kicker's head. Just think about that. You're all alone. You literally have one job, and all the pressure's on you. And if you have some doubt in the back of your mind, it's over. That's why I think Justin Tucker's a great kicker, because you can tell, like, there's nothing going on up there. Right. So Dan Bailey was hurt, was in his own head a little bit. So the fact that he was given another full year to heal up, maybe that's why he returned to form in 2019. Also last year, he was the fourth best in the NFL in terms of field goal percentage at 93.1%. Was also on perfect. Also was perfect on kicks at 50 plus yards, 3 for 3. And then also, I think you'd have to get into coaching because new special teams coordinator Mauro Maloof, he deserves a lot of credit for sure. As does kicking assistant Nate Kading, the former Chargers and Iowa Hawkeyes kicker as well. I mean, Prefer always gets a lot of hype. But also, if you think about it, his time in Denver and Kansas City was really made off the backs of the Colquitt brothers as punters. And he has never been great at developing kickers, right? You look at Blair Walsh, you look at the problems of Daniel Carlson, the easily correctable problems, and now he's doing some decent things out with the Raiders. I mean, coaching kickers, it's part technical, it's part psychiatrist. We're like, hey, buddy, what's going on? Yeah, and I just never thought that Prefer had that tact. He didn't, but Maloof and Kading seem to be striking a decent chord here with the special teams. As well as you add in the aforementioned Britton Skolkwit holding, replacing Matthew Weil, who had, Matthew Weil had never held before in his career. B, he was a mediocre, average to below average punter, so what was the point? And then you bring in Austin Cutting, bringing some competent long snapping to the game as well, and all of a sudden, baby, you got Stu going. That could be one of the big reasons why Dan Bailey got his ish together. It all came together as a perfect storm. His health, better coaching, better battery mates, and all of a sudden, and also let's not forget just the ego side. So when the Vikings last year in preseason lit a fifth-round pick on fire, trading the Ravens for Corey Vedvik, he was the candidate to take Bailey's kicking job. Because remember, Corey Vedvik was a kicker and a punter who could not kick or punt. But that was the selling point. I was like, hey, you don't know what he is. We don't either. Right? And remember, everyone was talking about, like, hey, well, maybe they could have Vedvik kick and punt, and then they could save a roster spot. Never going to happen. For a myriad of reasons. What if one of them gets hurt in the game? Who's going to kick and or punt? But whatever. Either way, Vedvik was terrible at both. But just that little bit of spark, little bit of, look at these MFers trying to replace me? King Kong ain't got poop on Dan Bailey, right? So give Bailey some credit. The first preseason game after the trade for Vedvik was against Buffalo. And then Bailey drilled a 43 and a 54-yarder and basically closed the competition. Especially after he hit that 54-yarder, he was like, Dan Bailey. Because sometimes the threat of losing your livelihood, it really is a powerful motivator. And yeah, all that together with the health, with the better teammates, with the better coaching, I mean, it does make sense why Bailey swam instead of sank in 2019. So hopefully that'll continue into 2020 and beyond because, like we pointed out in an earlier video, I think this is the first time I can remember where there was only 3 specialists on the 90-man roster. So there's not a punter competition, there's not a kicker competition, there's not a long snapper competition, which is probably a first in the Zimmer tenure. I mean, just finally having some kicker stability, it's going to be crucial, especially the type of ball that Zimmer likes to play. Like Zimmer wants to play low scoring, good defense, field control style of football. And if you do that, you need a reliable kicker. You do. And Dan Bailey, who just turned 32 in January, hopefully he can be that guy for a couple more years. Otherwise, back to the scrap heap. Maybe spend a 4th-round pick on a kicker this time. I don't know. Maybe it'll work out. So there you go. But your thoughts. Dan Bailey getting his groove back. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. You want to support the work? Pull us on the Venmo. Plus give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skol, production value.